Hey, what up everybody, Steve Breach coming to you. This is during a commercial break. Honestly, tonight's Night of Champions pay-per-view, I really did care about the main event, being Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton and what was going to happen with that. But honestly, I had this pay-per-view on sort of as a, I don't know, just like out of, I guess, repetition, because I guess I do it every pay-per-view that's on. Knowing that the Niner game was going to start at 5:30 and this got this first start, I wanted to see what the feeling of the pay-per-view was going to be like before having the Niner game on. Having two things on at the same time. I don't know why they called this the Night of Champions pay-per-view, but honestly, in my mind, the real Night of Champions wasn't on pay-per-view tonight. It was on NBC Football, and the only reason that I got into this pay-per-view and cared about it at all was the lightning delay during the 49er game, and if it wasn't for that, honestly, I think my stream more than likely would have dropped, and I just wouldn't have cared to turn it back on. But because of that, I was sort of glued to this because there was a almost hour delay in the football game tonight. So we got some good wrestling action in. Because I'm watching the football game as I'm making this review, honestly, it probably won't be as long as the review as normal. I will just be basically just flying through the results. And as I talk about the results, just if I see anything that I think is going down, sort of like the upcoming Ryback versus CM Punk feud, I will throw things into that. The Tag Team Turmoil match, I wish you would have saw this because it was on YouTube and Amazon and all that other crap. But Tag Team Turmoil match, which was the pre-show to Night of Champions, was the Best of Jack Swagger show. Jack Swagger was making people tap out like it was 2010 all over again, and he was World Heavyweight Champion. The team of Cesaro and Swagger, the Real Americans, got the win over the Dancing Fat Guys, the Usos, but they didn't have enough to get the win over the Primetime Players, who moved on to have the title shot during the pay-per-view. Now, this is when it got real weird. Remember what I said, that basically the Niner game started 30 minutes after the pay-per-view did, and that was basically where most of my attention was going to go to? When did the pay-per-view turn into freaking Monday Night Raw? 35 minutes of this pay-per-view, not one match went down. This pay-per-view opened up with Triple H in the ring. I'll give it to you. I'll be honest, I didn't watch SmackDown this week. I didn't watch Main Event this week. If Triple H turned babyface, it sure the hell didn't make any of the dirt sheet newses. It wasn't on any of the podcasts. Nobody made a video on it. What the fuck was going on tonight? I had no clue. I was so lost. And I am somebody who watches a lot of WWE television, but when I was watching this, I had no clue what was going on. He came out and he promised there was going to be no interference in the Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton match. Tackle him! Son of a bitch. Then he promised that there was going to be no Big Show, no Shield, no him, no Vince, no this, that, or the other. It was just going to be one-on-one, and whoever won the match is whoever won the match, and that's who's going to be the champion. Did anybody believe him? Not me. He's lied to us before, but that's what he was saying. Paul Heyman came out to even add on to his little babyface turn, which made no sense to me either. He was asking me to be removed from the match. Triple H said that he had to be in there, got a little hot and heated between him and Curtis Axel. Curtis Axel brought up the Monday Night Raw that he beat him and didn't only bring that up, it brought up the date and the city. And, that sort of got him heated, and Triple H decided that he was going to have a match against Kofi Kingston. Now, honestly, this isn't what people paid for, but they throw filler matches in there for a good little while. I mean, there was some good matches. Well, I didn't mean good, but there was matches in 2011 on pay-per-view where they wanted to make sure you saw Brodus Clay. They made sure they wanted you to see Ryback, and those matches were piss poor horrible. This was better than that, and at least it made sense. It wasn't two guys that had nothing to do with each other. After the match on Monday Night Raw, we got a rematch of Curtis Axel against Kofi Kingston. Curtis Axel got the win in this. That's the one thing at least I can say. And there's another match later on. I'll just talk about it now because it didn't matter at all and nobody cared about it. But at least Fandango versus The Miz. This is a match that's been built up for over a month. Why it wasn't declared a match that was going to be on the pay-per-view already, I have no clue. But it came down to the wire and nobody said nothing and just sort of got added on and thrown onto the show. But at least it's something that, was going along with storylines and you could sort of see it coming. You had the AJ beat all the other divas inside of the match. Nothing special inside of there. Del Rio versus Rob Van Dam for the World Heavyweight Championship. This match, I honestly was a little busy during, and I don't know what the hell happened. All I know is that Del Rio got disqualified. He had Rob Van Dam in the armbar, and he was able to reach the ropes. But as he reached the ropes, he wouldn't let go of the thing. I don't know if Rob Van Dam kicked the shit out of him for the whole time they were in the match or what happened. But and he just felt like this is the match that he couldn't win, and that was his only way to get out of it. But he didn't let go of the hold. But basically, that's when all the shit broke loose, and it became probably one of the biggest highlights that you're going to see on Monday Night Raw, or the one that you're going to look up on YouTube tonight if you haven't looked it up already. Rob Van Dam, to me, honestly, did the impossible. It's been a long time. I can't even remember the last time we saw Van Terminator. I don't think he did one the whole time he was in TNA. It's one of the biggest moves that's in his arsenal, and he pretty much saves it for the biggest, shows. He doesn't do it at the local indies or anything like that, and I don't think TNA ever really gave him a big enough shot that he would have done it, even when he was the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. But he hit the Van Terminator. Del Rio sold it like he was dead. Hopefully we'll get a rematch on this. Like I always said, I'm not going to, stop breathing if Van Dam doesn't become the World Heavyweight Championship, and it's not going to cause me to, go out and buy a Van Dam t-shirt or buy a belt or anything like that. But if Van Dam did win the World Heavyweight Championship, I think it would be a pretty cool moment for WWE, and it'd be an ultimate, just thank you for the breath of fresh air that he's brought into WWE in the last few months, because I honestly thought when he was coming back that I didn't think that he was going to have this big of a reaction. A lot of people said that, people jumped on the Van Dam bandwagon, and, people hadn't really cared about him in the last, 2 years, and all of a sudden he goes back to WWE and it makes the world of difference, and everybody thinks he's the best, and pretty soon he's going to get fat, and he's going to get lazy, and he's going to get sloppy, and then he's going to be back where he was on a WWE shit list, and nobody's going to care about him in the long run. I don't know. I think he's done pretty well for himself. But then again, it's hard for me to remember that he debuted at Money in the Bank, and that was only 2 months ago. Next match was CM Punk and Curtis Axel going up. I apologize, they weren't a team. CM Punk going up against the team of Curtis Axel and Paul Heyman. Curtis Axel wasn't in there that long, as you can remember. He'd already had a match in there with Kofi Kingston, who wore him down a good little bit. CM Punk hit him with the GTS and the Anaconda Vice, and that's when we got the death of Paul Heyman. If you can remember back to last October, we had CM Punk going up as the build to Hell in the Cell when John Cena was injured, shorted to get Ryback into the fold. CM Punk had a match against Vince McMahon on Monday Night Raw, and they beat the holy hell out of each other with kendo sticks. That's basically what this was. I don't know when CM Punk's go-to weapon became the kendo stick, but it seems like he's the new Sandman of the WWE. And these guys beat the holy hell out of each other until the point of Ryback didn't want to take this shit no more, and he came down. And a lot of people are already thinking that Ryback is going to be the new Heyman guy or something like that. I don't know about that, but all I can know is that, with injuries to Sheamus, with injuries to John Cena, it's been, a good while before, Ryback has had anything to do in the WWE that's been meaningful. All we've seen him do is just sort of be the lunchtime bully in the back. And the segments are pretty funny. They took me a little while to get into, but looking back on them, most of them are pretty good. With him and the cold soup, and he pouring it down the guy's pants and stuff like that. I don't know. It's not something you want to see every day, but if you see it every once in a while, it's going to make me laugh. But, Ryback hasn't had anything to do, but then again, he's a heel with 2 of the top baby faces in the company being out. So, Punk vs. Ryback, it's been a while since we saw it at the last Hell in the Cell. I think it was supposed to happen at night I apologize. I think it was supposed to happen at TLC, but Punk got hurt again. And he took that pay-per-view off. But, at the year later, we'll see what's going to happen. Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler for the U.S. title. I'm pretty glad I didn't make a video on this one. It was the second video I made this week about something that ended up not being true. But I guess all the sheets in the world had Ambrose and Ziggler being pulled off of this card. Everybody's been saying everything in the world about Dolph Ziggler being in a shit ton of trouble, basically, because he ran his mouth in some interviews that still, nobody is able to find out what he said. So I don't know if it was a WWE article, and he just said something to there, and one of the article editor or something was able to read it and then passed it along for somebody, and somebody caught a hold of it and said, what the fuck is this? But I don't know. The burial of Dolph Ziggler is going on now. Ambrose won, but how the fuck did he win, Steve? I have no clue. I must have been busy during this match. I apologize. But that was followed up by another Shield match. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns going up against the Primetime Players. Titus O'Neil was the star of this show. He was awesome. He was, just throwing everybody around. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, they were able to, separate, divide, and conquer. Basically, this one got the finish when, as always, Roman Reigns hit the spear. The Shield was able to retain, and they were head out of there. At this point, this is Night of Champions, where almost all the titles were defended. You had the U.S. title, the Intercontinental title, the tag titles, and nothing had changed hands yet. Oh, World Heavyweight Championship as well. Pretty weird. Pay-per-view, nothing moves. That made me start thinking, but it didn't really get me there. I really thought that even though Triple H came out and said all that shit, I didn't want to believe him, and something was going to happen in this main event, which was going to make us, get us to the next one. I wore this shirt today. The beard is here. I mostly pulled it out of the clothes because I was folding them and said, hey, that'd be a good shirt to wear. And I said I wanted to support Daniel Bryan. I wanted him to win the match. I didn't believe he was going to win the match, but it would have been really badass if he did. Now, my buddy Justin, Mr. RKO NWO, is at the second pay-per-view in a row. Not only that, he's at the second pay-per-view in a row Daniel Bryan won the WWE Championship. How lucky is that? I'm sure a lot of Daniel Bryan fans out there are going to be hoping that he goes to every show from here on out and he never loses the WWE Championship. We'll see how that works out for him. But basically, Bryan was able to hit the flying knee again on Randy Orton. He was able to become the champion, and everybody just was on pins and needles, just not being able to believe that, Harbaugh's yelling, what did I miss? Son of a bitch. Not believing that Triple H was going to let this go down, if he was going to come out and he was going to say, this, that, or the other happened, and, I'm sorry. The big storyline is probably going to be the referee of the match was Scott Armstrong, and he was did the fast count real fast during the match. If it's Triple H is going to come out and he's going to fire Scott Armstrong, and now it's going to be like that. Oh, that would make sense. Because then you not only have the Rhodes versus Triple H, you have the Armstrong family against them, and I don't think we're going to see Bob Armstrong come. Oh, fuck, I think Bob died. I apologize. I think so. But, I mean, then you can involve Scott, you can involve the Road Dogg. There's a lot in the Armstrong family you can bring in and, build up this feud of Triple H, taking out the wrestling's families. It's been a long time since I've fallen asleep watching that they have a lot of wrestling families. Maybe they'll go after the Guerreros next. Maybe that's where their storyline's going. I'm not 100% sure. But all I know is that tonight, Daniel Bryan is yesing his ass down the street with the Bella Twin on his arm, holding up the WWE Championship. I bet he's sleeping with it. That's my bet. Everybody, peace out. Have fun.